Hey guys, what if I told you the key to having over $1 million in retirement was as simple as starting with a budget? It's true. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys a perfect example of what you can do to get on your way. The template shown in this video is actually available to download for free in the description. So check that out. Thanks for watching, and let's get budgeting.
All right, guys, so let's dive into this. On my example today, we're using John Johnson, a fictional guy who's making the median income per hour in the state of Iowa. Median income right now for 18 to 24-year-old individual is going to be $20.42. So we are basing his income from over here, this $20.42, as an hourly. If you guys are making more than this or you're making less than this, the same rules will apply. You can just kind of modify things to fit your current circumstances. But this will give you a great example of how the budget should be set up, and then also how you can apply that to determine how do we save more and start working on that goal of getting up over that $1 million in retirement, which we're going to go through later in this video. So for starters, the second tab here, total expenses. Now keep in mind, you guys can make whatever budget you want. This is just one that I've created to give you guys this example. So you're going to see here we've got the current expenses, name of the expense, and the expense amount. So for our example here, John Johnson's renting an apartment. He actually lives there with a buddy. Their rent is $1,500, so it's a little bit steep, but they split it 50-50. So we've got here $750 for the rent amount. John's got a car. So Johnny here has a $442 monthly payment on his 2020 Chevy Malibu. His renter's insurance is $20 a month. His auto insurance is $117 a month for full coverage on that Malibu. He's got $0 in property taxes because it doesn't apply to him. Vehicle registration is $40 a month because it's a relatively new vehicle. His phone bill, $109. His gas, $125. His electric bill, which he's actually paying, is $125. His buddy doesn't have to pay utilities because Johnny's name here is on the lease. Gas bill, $80 per month that he's paying in full. That's an average. So in the winter, it's a little bit higher. In the summer, it's a little bit lower, but it averages out to about $80 a month. They don't pay the city or water bill because that's already included in their rent. For fun spending, that's when Johnny decides to go out and do something with friends or go out to eat, take a girlfriend out. Subscriptions, got $100 a month in subscriptions. This could be anything from, a Hulu account, Netflix. Maybe the guy's got a subscription to, budgeting software that he wants to use. Miscellaneous expenses, $125. This is for the over-encapsulating things the guy forgets about. So let's say there's, I forgot that I pay quarterly for my gym membership. I just created a miscellaneous expense tab for those kind of catch-alls. Then you've got student loans. Johnny here only pays $180 a month. He's paying over 10 years. Didn't go to school for more than a couple years, so he's got a little bit of student debt, but nothing too crazy. Right now, he has nothing budgeted for investments, no current savings or emergency fund. And then food, which if you guys are paying attention right away, that was not on here. I actually had it in, deleted it when I was reformatting a couple things and forgot to re-add it. So in this scenario, I put that back in. His food, he's spending about $400 a month. It's just him eating. Usually he buys stuff from the grocery store, eats a lot of hot dogs, hamburgers, occasionally cooks dinner, but a lot of it's frozen meals, pretty inexpensive stuff overall. This number is something to be cognizant of because it can get really expensive really quickly, especially if you're buying gas station food or eating out a lot. So the food is one to really pay attention for a month and hone in on that, because I can tell you guys from my own experience, you don't realize how much money you're spending until all of a sudden, holy cow, I spent $640 eating last month. And that can go up real quick. So just something to be cognizant of. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this information and plug this in to the working budget. So that's when, boom, you would take it over. You would basically copy all these numbers, and then you would click and paste them in here. So what I've done, and this is something I'm going to show you guys, this will give you a percentage of your total budget. So you'll hit the equal sign, then you'll select the category next to it, and then you will select the total. And what you want to make sure, so right now it shows the total C24, which is this category here. You're going to actually want to make sure that you put dollar signs in front of the C and in front of the 24. That way, when you you suggest the autofill, you can boom, click that down, and it'll automatically port all of these as a percentage of your monthly budget. So you can see what's really taking up the most space from a percentage standpoint. Now, if we're looking at this scenario here, we've got Johnny making $20.42 an hour. He works 40 hours per week. His gross income weekly is $816.80. But here are the deductions. So this would be things like your federal tax, your state tax. This would also include Social Security, Medicare, any of those little built-ins that are deducted from your payments every month, week, year. Here we've got Johnny actually goes and mows lawn for a buddy. He gets paid $20 a month just for doing a mow once or twice a month. So I included side income if you guys want to, put something in there because let's say you don't have necessarily a second job, but you do little things here and there to earn a little extra income. This would be something where you could just input what you make on average per month to kind of go along with the example. So currently, that would make his net income $654.25 per week. So these are weekly numbers, and then what I do here is I extrapolate it out to monthly and to yearly. And if you want to see the formula, they're up here above. So I take the number times 52, which is how many weeks, and then divide that by 12 to give you an average monthly. Some weeks you might have several weekly payments in 1 month. So it's one of those things where sometimes if you're biweekly, you get a 3 paycheck month, or if you're weekly, you'll get a 5 paycheck month, just depending on when the days line up in any given month. So that can vary, but this gives you kind of an average. And then the year, that would be take-home pay of $34,020.75. So remember, it's not this gross income based on your salary or your hourly wage. This would be your weekly income. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, we have all these numbers input, but we see down here the total income versus the actual total expenses put John here minus $27.94 per month. So John financially is currently spending more than he earns. So that's where this budget is going to kind of come into play. Holy cow, what can I cut down on, or what can I do to make sure that I'm still living my life, I'm having fun with my friends, but I'm not maybe going out and spending so much money. So we're going to do a couple modifications here. Right now in this example, we've got John here paying all of the electric and gas bill. He's currently paying for that. He hasn't made his buddy chip in for gas or electric. John may have his name on the lease, for example, but also is John using all the utilities? No. That's where it could be a situation where he has a conversation with his roommate and says, hey, look, I'm currently paying all of these utilities. If you could just chip in and help even $50 a month, that would make a difference. So John talks to his buddy. He gets a little bit of help. He gets this knocked down to, 125 still for this one. So he talks to his buddy, and he gets this knocked down. We're going to take this one down to, we'll call it the gas bill. Buddy's going to help out. He'll pay $40 towards the gas bill, cutting that in half, and then he'll still pay $115 of this. For simple math, that's just $50 there. So now that we've got that taken into consideration, now John's wondering, right now I've got a couple subscriptions I don't use. I really only watch Netflix and Hulu. I've got a couple other subscriptions that I'm not using enough to justify keeping them. Well, let's say the Netflix is, we'll call it $20 a month, and Hulu is $25. Those are a little bit higher than the current, but obviously those are always going up. So let's call it $45 for those 2 subscriptions. He cuts some other stuff out. You know what? Let's call it $55 because the occasional annual subscription that he pays for up front, an extra $10, $120 for one annual subscription he's paying. Miscellaneous expenses. John knows, you know what? I do have my gym membership. I pay that quarterly, but my gym membership per quarter is $180. Don't constitute $125 towards miscellaneous expense a month. Okay, I'm currently putting a little more in there than I should. Let's cut this down to $75. That'll more than cover miscellaneous expenses for me. Still has his student loans, still has his food, but now we're at an offset of $117.06 per month that he can maybe start putting into some savings per month or in investments. And what I'm going to do is now we're going to go ahead and say, okay, now that this is done, we've kind of fine-tuned the budget. I've cut expenses in an area or two. One thing I'll say is it's always good to look at your auto insurance every 2 years at most. Our company, I actually work full-time in insurance. I do commercial insurance. I do home, personal auto, all that stuff. We typically try to quote on everyone's personal policies every 2 to 3 years. And we're an independent agent, so we have multiple carriers we work through. And each company kind of changes their rates every so often, that the cheapest company now is not going to be the cheapest company 2 to 3 years from now. So I would say maybe get some quotes. John actually goes out, says, "Oh, Josh, hey, you want to give me some quotes?" And I can actually take him down to $86 per month instead of that $117 because he decided to have Josh quote his insurance. So now we're sitting at $86 per month instead of that $117. That is an additional offset, giving him more flexibility to put money in investments, more money in savings. So we're going to start small. John's not in a position where he's ready yet to put more than $50 in his savings and emergency fund, but he really wants to start hammering on some investments. So he sees what's left and he says, you know what, guys, we're going to push it. I really want to have $100 put into an investment account every single month. So he decides, I'm putting $100 in. That puts me minus $1.94 every month. Now, it's not a huge number. That can be found elsewhere. So what he's going to do is he's going to look at, okay, I've got my miscellaneous expense. I've got my subscriptions. Obviously, I have my mortgage and my rent. But wait a second here. Interest rates are going down. I'm going to refinance my car payment. So John takes his Malibu and says, I'm going to refinance this over 4 years. Finds an interest rate that is significantly better than what he's paying right now. Saves him a whole 1.5%. So we have this 442, doing it over 3 years on what's remaining. And just for the sake of argument, let's just say that 1.5% saves him an extra $38 a month. So this 38 is going to take us down 442 minus the 38 is going to take us down to 404, excuse me. So now he's down to $404 a month on his auto payment because he refinanced that loan. And now he can comfortably invest that $100 every single month. I hope that's making sense to you guys. So this next part, I'm going to pull up a compound interest calculator, and we're going to really dig into how this helps you get to that $1 million. All right, guys, now we're on to the more fun part. And I love looking at scenarios and running these types of equations. This is investor.gov. It's a website that will allow you guys to go in and play with some of your own figures. It gives you just an example of what things would look like based on interest rates and compound accrual over time. So with John's example, we're going to do that $100 that he's decided to contribute. For that first month, we're going to do $100 per month. And we're going to do this for 5 years. Estimated interest rate, 7% growth is a little bit conservative, but I'd rather be conservative than be too aggressive and then not see what I want to see in my returns. So we're going to do 7%. We're not even going to show a rate variance range. It could be 6% some years, could be 8.5% other years, but let's just use 7 as the average. So we're just going to run it with that 7%, compounding annually. And in 5 years, John's going to have $7,041.14. So obviously, that doesn't seem like a huge number, but compound growth is going to start to do its thing over time. So what you're seeing here is the contribution, $6,100. The growth has taken that to $7,041. So nothing crazy, but growth is growth. So now for another 5 years, we're going to take this to $250 on the monthly, the $7,041 on the starting amount. So for the next 5 years, John's going to be doing this $250. And that's going to take him up to $27,127. So now we've been 10 years in. Let's say John started at 25. He'd now be 35 years old. He's got $27,127 invested. Total contributions have been $22,000, but he's made over $5,000 just from the growth on this account. We're going to take this, the $27,127. John has now had more time to earn more income. He's getting raises at work, changed his actual role and position a little bit, so he's making a bit more money than he was, and now he's contributing $500 a month for the next 5 years. So John is now at $72,551 as his total invested. So $72,551, we're going to take that to this number, and John's now going to go to $750 a month to try and save and invest that for another 5 years. This will take him to 45. So he would now have $153,513 at 45 years old. We're going to do it again. So $153,513. Change this to 1,000. Do this for 5 years. This is going to be taking him to 50. So at 50, he's got $284,318. Let's do it again. He continues to put away more money. So $1,250, $284,318. By the time he is 55, he's got $485,000 in this account. $485,031. Let's take this now at 55, 10. Let's say he doesn't contribute anymore. He's kind of stalled out. John's not getting any more raises. Wants to spend money on some more fun things. You know, he's got other priorities than just investing all the time. He's at $485,000. He's doing $1,250 per month. We're going to let this run for 10 years. And this at 65, retirement age for most people, John has $1,161,376.11. So, this shows you the power of compounding this growth. In this scenario, which this total contributions isn't going to be exactly right when you get higher and higher because we continually push what this initial investment was. So some of this growth is already just from compounding. So this number includes some of the initial compounding growth we had. But this just goes to show you what that compounding will do in total. So, I mean, you're going from that $485,000 to this $635,000 of contributions. But now you've got $1,161,376. And the contributions are actually less than what's shown here. So this is how doing this budgeting, guys, and really starting small and taking opportunities over time to scale that up make a huge difference on what your retirement will look like. But starting somewhere is the key. Whether it's $50 a month or $100 a month or $250 a month, you can see so many possibilities and variations based on the market growth as well as when you can make these increases, make the increases. My suggestion is every time you get a raise, half of that raise should be attributed directly to what you're putting away in either your emergency fund or your investments. Every time. So if you're making $20.42 and you get a $2 raise, $1 is directly per hour, directly put into your savings or your investments every time. That's the biggest suggestion that I can give to anybody is you won't miss the money because you weren't making it beforehand anyways. So take that extra step and invest that money because, guys, it really does pay off long term. So I hope you got a lot of use out of the video. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please leave a like and subscribe. I plan on making more similar content, talking about the power of this compounding growth, talking more about budgeting, talking about small savings tips, tricks, and things you can do to actually start your own business. As somebody who is now an owner in 4 different businesses, I've started others up that didn't succeed, and I've got 4 that I'm a part of that are doing quite well at this point. So there's a lot of things that I'd love to share and give to you guys over time. So stick around. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.